Samuel Bonici and Joe de Gabriel are continuing their family tradition of a life spent at sea. We have set off from the ancient fishing village of Marsaxlokk in St. Catherine. Their boat, like all fishing boats found here, is brightly painted in blue, yellow and red, with the watchful eye of Osiris on the bow to ward off evil spirits. These boats are unmistakably Maltese and have become one of Malta's national symbols.
If you swim here, it's cold. If you swim the other side, it's warm.
Why is that?
We don't know.
And it's the same, I mean...
It's the same sea, it's the same water,
Of
but
course.
over there it's hot and over here it's cold.
I've noticed we swam, the water here is warm. It's not cold,
But
which is wonderful.
it depends from a side to another.
Yeah. All around the coastline in Malta, you find these salt banks. As you can see, I mean, the coastline lends itself to these being carved into it. And this was done by the Romans centuries ago, and they're still used today. They still collect salt water and dry it out in the sun.
Fishing is a highly regulated industry in Malta. All boats must report at a central office before leaving the harbour and must clock in at their return to present their entire haul. The season dictates their catch and quota. Tuna season has just ended here, and the lambuki has not yet arrived. So today we're fishing for whitebait, although the whitebait in these waters are far larger than the ones we are used to.
Of course, your number. Now, if there's no fish in here, don't blame me. And don't throw me overboard either.
Yes, if we can catch nothing.
Oh wait, it's stuck here, it's stuck here.
We've set off early in order to position ourselves at a good spot at the entrance of the bay. Samuel and Joe cast their nets, but the catch is minimal.
You keep the barracuda in there?
Yes.
Okay.
We must be patient and wait for sunset and the arrival of the shoals.
So Now you move to a different location or you stay here?
That's why we anchor.
Okay.
So you stay in the same position every time.
Yes.
To come swimming here in this bay.
You can come with the car.
With the car, there is the stairs there, and we go down there. Look.
Oh yeah, you can see people swimming.
We have to wait, you have to look and see if they start coming because they only come for more or less half an hour, maybe less. So as much as you can put the net in that half an hour, the more fish you'll get.
So then they do really come into the bay in the evening?
Yes.
And in the morning?
Outside they
And
will
in the
be...
morning they go from home to work. The same thing.
So in the morning you place the net in the other direction?
Different direction.
And then the other direction. Because
it's
it will
going
be
out.
going out.
There've been, there's a lot of reports constantly in the news about fishing, and there's a lot of negative press about saying that we're fishing too much and that we're fishing the waters dry. Do you think that's true? What's your opinion on that?
Malta no. Because we tell you, for the tuna and for the saltfish, with the hook, you can't catch too much. Every night you catch 3 or 4 tuna, and you stay 3 days away. Or 4 days.
They have to catch at least 4 tuna to be with the diesel, to get the diesel back and get the bait back.
Yeah.
And then after 4 tuna they have to catch to get bait.
Of course.
So it's very hard to be a fisherman.
So which is your favorite fish
Lampu.
to eat? Yeah,
Because
lampugi.
lampugi ate there many times.
So do you know him?
Yes, it's good.
My brother.
He's your brother.
My big brother.
Ah, you're the little brother. The big brother got here first. So if he does well, will he be ringing you tonight saying, I'm the big brother, I did better?
He always do better.
Yeah?
He always do better.
And you're waiting for the sun to come down.
Waiting for the sun to go down, so we start the engine and we start fishing.
I've never actually gone out fishing, and I wanted to do that here. It's a big part of the traditional lifestyle. Yet, as you see it, it's a very wholesome industry. It's not, we're not assisted by big trawlers and kilometers of nets. The methods are traditional in style. And I don't think I could have chosen too nice a fisherman to come fishing with.
Come on, don't sleep.
Sorry, Captain. See, I'm getting told off. I'm being distracted looking at the beautiful sunset. There.
Can repair, but I still love her. I don't really care. When we were young, we didn't know.
The trick you haven't told me.
I'll tell you something.
You kept that one quiet, didn't you? Let's watch this one. A struggle with the fish. They've been having a laugh at my expense.
No.
And they've been letting me sort out the fish as me thinking I'm being helpful. And I'm trying to catch them because they're all alive. They're fresh. They've just come out. And I was just complaining to them saying, they're like, you can wash your hands. I said, no, I don't mind because I'm helping. But I've got scales and salt all up my arms, all on my face. And I said, that's happening because they're all wriggling back. He goes, yeah, we normally separate them when they're dead.
When we go,
Cheeky.
when we go,
Very cheeky.
yeah, no, when we go to shore.
Head it up.
Spent this morning at the market, and you saw the variety of fish that was on offer. it was impressive. You know, there was all types of fish, from the large fish which are pole hook caught, like tuna and swordfish, to the other type of fish, much smaller fish. But the swordfish is
local.
Is local. Okay.
And these are the sea bass. And every time you could see if they are fresh from the gills.
Yes.
You will never get much more red than these.
That, yeah. So that is a good sign. That is a
Yes,
good tip.
it's a good sign.
And how would you cook the eel here?
Basically, they use it in a fish soup.
Okay.
This is mackerel.
And what's this one here? This is bazooka, a fish traditionally caught around the coast of Malta. It's pole caught. This is Alan. He's our chef for the morning, and we're in La Capana, one of the top restaurants in Marsa Schlock, the fishing village, where 75% of the fishing fleet are based here in Malta. How do you cook this, Alan?
So basically, this morning what we're going to do is we're going to fillet it, and then just put it in a tray, a bit of water, garlic, salt, lemon pepper, touch of parsley, and we'll put it in the oven. Basically, since it's going to be filleted, it will take at around maximum 10 minutes. Then we'll take it out, just serve it on a.
And that's all it needs,
yeah.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, simple.
Good, fresh
Simple is the best. Is the best thing, since we don't like to take off the taste of the fish. We always like to keep it simple so that we'll taste everything as it is.
This is very good. I would have to agree. Definitely have to agree with Alan. Best thing to do is keep it simple. Olive oil, parsley, garlic, salt and pepper. Fabulous fish. Next time we're tucking into our raciones in a good fish restaurant, you know, think about the many, many, many hours that have been put into catching those fish. At least if they're using the traditional methods that are used here.
Samuel and Joe told me that we would see the fish arrive. I found that very hard to believe, but they were right. Suddenly you could see hundreds of them, glinting in the light. And this is when the true work began. The quicker you cast your nets and hauled them in, the more fish you caught. Time was of the essence.
Come here.
Our last few hours flew by, and although it was frantic and back-breaking, the stillness of the night and the omnipotent presence of the sea made it a serene and humbling experience. The awesome power of nature is one we tend to forget. Yet tonight I had been firmly reminded of just who was boss.
Good night and best of luck with the rest of the fishing. Bye.
Marsa Schlock may be an industrious working man's village, but its sleepy charm is not lost on me, and I shall remember it fondly. I'm heading into Valletta to meet up with Father Zamit, but as I drive past Marsa Scala, my tummy begins to rumble. For although the fish may be caught in Marsa Schlock, it is definitely eaten in Marsa Scala. Paul Bianco runs a restaurant here, and I simply can't resist popping in.
This is the chiller.
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful in here, Paul.
So,
What is that?
that's the grouper. It's a grouper, fresh grouper, which has been caught by the line, you know. And they've got the red snapper, the silver thing, you've got the sea bass here, and the red snapper, the small red snapper. We get them every day fresh. You can see how fresh they are. You know, it's if the weather permits it, we've got fresh fish every day, no problem.
Our specialty here is fish. It's a local restaurant for fish. It's different. We have mussels local, we have clams, we have sea dates, we have the fish coming every day here, fresh fish from our local fishermen. What do you think?
I think that's brilliant.
Thanks.
That is really, really good. Finger licking good.
St. John's Co-Cathedral is Malta's most impressive church. It was built between 1573 and 1578 and became the place where the knights would gather for communal worship. It also houses 2 Caravaggio paintings. Father Carmel Zamit has promised me a private tour of this magnificent church, and I'm overcome with excitement.
This is the building of the knights, really. When they were here, the Knights of Malta, they first of all decided to build Valletta. That was La Vallette who did it. You know, after the Great Siege in 1565, the Great Siege was finished and the Turks went away. But because of the experience of the Great Siege, La Vallette wanted to build a fortified city. So he had this planned out, and he also planned where to put the cathedral, which is in the center. I worked in Gibraltar for 20 years because I arrived there in 1976 under Bishop Rapallo. Actually, Bishop Rapallo came here in 1974 to look for priests. Every chapel you see, it's thousands of euros.
Well, if they're restoring, and this is all 24 karat gold.
Yeah.
And in the restoration, 24 karat gold was
We
used.
are, for example, we are putting or restoring the last 2 chapels. That we spent already over 20,000 euros in gold, in what they put. So.
Yeah, and this money is collected charitably.
No, tourists from
Tourists,
who
okay,
visit.
donations.
No, they pay to enter. There is an entrance fee to come in. So in 75, actually, I went there for a month to have a look around. I remember the frontier impressed me. You know, I couldn't believe what I saw there at the frontier, actually, you know. People shouting across and showing babies. I thought this was worse than Berlin Wall. Now, apart from the cathedral, there's the museum on the other side, which we are going to refurbish completely in a couple of years, you know. Because it was built in the 60s, but it's not up to date now, sort of. You know, we want to do something up to date. So once we finished all here, we are going to put all our energy and money into having a modern museum, let's put it that way, you know. At first, what he wanted me for, not only as a canon lawyer to do the marriage cases and that sort of thing, no, but also to look after the schools. So I spent up to 85 until actually up to 87 as a chaplain and teacher in the schools. I used to look after both comprehensives with Father Orfila, actually. But we have churches in Malta where beautiful columns were taken away. And it was just a philosophy at that time, you know? Yes. And then it went, obviously. But this, the effect of that period of time, the Nazarenes, left its effect. In fact, when it's finished, you see that the columns are not there anymore. And we kept it as it was now. You know, we didn't want to put it back to what it was originally, just to leave it as a history, sort of, you know. And then with Father Devlin, when he became bishop, that's when I became parish priest in St. Teresa then, all right? And I spent a few years there. And then in 1991, I suppose, you know, I'm not exact, but in 1991, I went to Sacred Heart. It's not like in Gibraltar. Gibraltar, the British won the place. Here they didn't win anything. It was the people who asked them to come over, to protect them and to rule over them.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't a conquest in a way. It was just the people said, you know,
they didn't want the French.
We had the Knights, they are away. We had the French, they are no good. Let's ask the British. And the British came in 1802, and they stayed up to 1964. That's when we got our independence.
Yes, independent.
Those are the keys of cities the Knights would have conquered in their exploits when they went abroad, you know. They were more or less like pirates sometimes, the Knights, you know. Well, Gibraltar, I spent half my priestly life there. When you think about it, now this year I'm going to be 40 years a priest, and 20 I spent in Gib. It all commemorate somebody, you know. It's to commemorate a knight or a prior or whatever it is, you know.
And this one is here, we're drawn with the skeleton.
Yeah, they commemorate their deaths, really, you know.
Yes,
and
yes.
in the long inscriptions that they have, they try to put across what they did in their life, what they achieved, sort of, you know. I learned a lot from Bishop Rapallo. Father Devlin was a different kettle of fish from Father Rapallo. I mean, Father Devlin was not a canon lawyer, he was not a theologian, he was a priest, a pastoral priest. He liked the people, he was always talking with people. He was the father figure, but he had a lot of wisdom too. This is the Aragon chapel, what we are going to go into.
Yeah, this is very ornate, isn't it? We thought the other chapels were ornate, this is even more.
No.
That is
yeah, you
beautiful
see,
painting.
those are the tombs of the Grand Masters, no? Right. The one who did this was Perellos. And there are two brothers.
She's nursing. Is she nursing
baby
those
Jesus? Those are symbolic things, you know, in those, every tombstone has its symbolism, let's put it that way, you know. And then from the people, obviously, I consider the people as not only very religious, even if they didn't go to church. Many of them don't go to church. But they are quite religious. They are very generous. And I always found the people in Gibraltar very forgetful when it came to failures by the priests. They used to sort of forget easily when you did something wrong or didn't like it, you know, which was nice, really, you know. You knew you were safe, sort of, you know, if you made a mistake. Let me see, what chapel is this?
It will say it here.
Aragon, Auvergne. Cynthia de Giorgio, she's our curator and CEO. She takes care of everything for us, you know.
It's absolutely magnificent, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Everybody says that, no, when they come? Yeah. One is this, which is the smaller one. That's St. Jerome.
St. Jerome.
It also has a history that it was stolen once, but it came back. That's the most famous one.
Yes.
That's the biggest one he ever did. What's its dimensions, Cynthia?
It's 5.3 meters wide and 3.6 meters high. This is a beautiful piece because it's the beginning of the Baroque. This is only 1607 Baroque as we know it today. The High Baroque had not yet developed. So Caravaggio is a standalone artist because of his ability to understand what the church had actually required, that art is simple, realistic, and true to the scriptures. And Caravaggio understood these requirements very well, and we can see them reflected in the characters of this painting.
The beheading of St. John the Baptist is widely considered to be Caravaggio's masterpiece, as well as one of the most important works in Western painting. This is the only one of Caravaggio's works that bears his signature, which he has placed in red blood spilling from John the Baptist's cut throat.
And this is the moment when Caravaggio was beginning to interpret realism. And this is why his paintings are imbued with this awesome magnificence, which is different to the high Baroque that you see in the main nave, which is more festive in mood.
Yes, I think that completely sums up how I'm feeling at the moment. This is simply awe-inspiring.
I like the people. I like the people because I knew they appreciated what you did for them, and they were always ready to help. You know, they were not just there receiving, they could give also. So I enjoy Gibraltar immensely, really.
Good feeling, won't you stay with me just a little longer? It always seems like you're leaving when I need you here just a little longer. Oh, dear lady, there's so many things that I've come to fear. Little voice says I'm going crazy.